Hello, everybody, and welcome to Shaper Sessions. My name is Jake,
I'm Sean.
and we have Audrey
Over
joining
here
us.
is Audrey. Hi, my name's Audrey.
Thanks for joining us today, Audrey. We got a fun one today,
Sure do.
and if Audrey's here, you know it's got something to do with studio. Some very long-awaited features are new to studio. We are talking about the offset feature and the custom radius tool.
Yeah, and it's going to be a really good show. We have a bunch of kind of sign related stuff that we're talking about. We're going to talk about some joinery related stuff, and then Jake has a pretty sweet little idea that he cooked up that we're going to show towards the end of the show. But I think as everyone knows, it's a live show. Jake, Audrey, and myself, we are live in the flesh. We will try to keep it perfect for you, but mistakes do happen.
Things happen.
And we will try our best.
We learn from those things.
Yeah, normally. But yes, so welcome to the show. Make sure you stay for the half show break where we're going to go over some exciting winners for the box challenge and show a shop tour. And then if you stay all the way through the show, we'll get to Q&A where you can ask us questions throughout the show. Ted's in the chat. He'll answer some questions during the show, and then we'll take some meatier questions and answer them at the end of the show where you can ask us kind of whatever you want. So,
and reminder, we're going to be doing giveaways at the end of the show, so make sure to answer that poll question in order to enter your name. That poll question is going to come up right around that mid-show break.
Yeah, I might be feeling real generous today.
Oh yeah,
maybe. You never know.
Gave away a bit washer last show.
I did. Was... You got to clean your bits. Yeah, it's an important part of the world. So. Yes, so with all that said, let's get started. Why don't we jump over to Audrey? And Audrey, why don't you tell us about these two features? I mean, studio updates all the time, and these features kind of roll out to everybody because it's a web-based platform. But let's dive into it. What are the features and what do they do?
Yeah, great. So the two features are offset and custom radius. So I'll just share my screen so we can take a look at what I mean when I say that. And so for offset, okay, this is really boring, but I'm just starting with a rectangle to explain, like, if you ever wanted to do an offset path from this rectangle, it was actually pretty easy because you can just make a slightly larger rectangle. But let's take a shape that is more complicated than that, like something from Find Art. And if you wanted to offset this shape, then you you could try making a slightly larger version of it, but you would very soon, well, you would then be disappointed because it doesn't actually work that way. You want a new path that is, a perfect distance from the existing path from before. And we do have the concept of offset on origin, but when you have multiple paths in a complex shape, then your offset will potentially run into the next path over. So really what you want is an offset tool that takes into account the entire shape. So that's what we made. Oops, I have everything selected. Let's go back here. So if we're offsetting just this dog, then you can choose to try a few different offsets, and you can see that this offset tool is going around the entire shape. Now, if you wanted to get an offset that was each individual shape, you can also do that by unclicking this join shapes down here. So that's basically offset. We'll go into more detail on that, but I'm pretty excited about it. And then I wanted to talk about custom radius. So hopefully everyone has been in studio recently and has been very excited to discover that we added a radius feature to anything you select, essentially. If you haven't, hi, welcome, and please be excited about this feature because we were very excited about it. So if we take this flower from Find Art, I'm going to hit radius, and then I can say, like, oh, I'll want to radius this to, say, 1/8 of an inch, because potentially you're going to want to inlay this this flower into some material, and when you inlay, you need to have a shape that is already radius so that you can cut both the outside and the inside. That's radius. Let's say you don't want to radius everything, all the corners the same, because maybe you're making this custom door front that's going to have a little like handle in it. And so the outside edges really need to be nice and crisp, but this handle, it would be nice if it was radiused. If we just use the radius tool as is, and we give everything a nice round over, now my whole drawer front is rounded, and that's not what I want. So you'll notice there's a little tune button here, and if I click into that, then I can select um, some of the corners over here. I can shift select to do multiple at once, and I can just select the outside corners and set them to 0. And I can also go in here and I can say, actually, I want these bottom inside corners of the handle to be more radius. So you can play around with this radius value until you're happy, and you can apply those changes. So that's custom radius. It's an add-on to our very exciting radius feature in Studio, and it basically opens any door. So very excited that we were able to bring that to you.
Nice. I think that was a great explanation, Audrey. I think the only thing I wanted to add about the custom radius and the radius feature in general is that you can modify it over and over. So, like if you make some radius and then you need to change the size, you can go back in there, modify that, and those shapes will kind of move with it, which is quite nice. If you think you're going to cut something with a 1/4 inch and then you change to an 8 mm or vice versa, you can just go back in there and edit those in most of the time. So, very cool. And the rest of the show, we're going to talk about how we use both of these features for about 3 or 4 different applications.
Yeah.
Hopefully, you can take advantage of them in your future projects.
Yep. Let's get right into it.
Okay. You may have seen the email that went out for sessions this week. I made Jake a little sign.
So sweet.
Because, Jake was having trouble with his A's and his J's. And I was like, well, this is like a classic kids' toy where kids learn, how things go. So essentially what we did is we took a font from Studio, and we're going to walk through all this. We're not going to cut it today. We're just going to kind of show you how we did it and walk you through kind of the process of using these new tools to create something like this from scratch, all in Studio. Quite cool. Jake loved it, actually.
I did.
It's really going a long way. So maybe Jake can show it off in the detail cam just so we can show you what we're working with.
Start with overhead.
Or overhead. And, basically we have each letter cut with some space that's wider in the back so that, it's easy to put them in, take them out, where they go. And, yeah, pretty
Just looks so
self-explanatory.
professional.
It's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
And I think, in the next project, we're going to get into one of the key features of this that we're going to gloss over for now, but you just
Come
hold
back to
on. We'll hold on. Okay. So Audrey, maybe we'll go over to you and let's just rebuild this sign from scratch or a similar sign. I don't know if Jake needs 2. Maybe Lucas needs 1.
Let's do one. Yeah. I think that's more in his
Okay.
age range.
Okay. All right. So.
All right. Great. Yeah, I can work on that sign. I've made a new design. So now we're in here. I made a new design just for anyone who's super new here. You open the main menu here, and then you can start a new design from the main menu. So here we have Jake's sign. You're going to add some text. Oh, wait, no, this is for Lucas. Is it Lucas with a C or with a K?
You got it. With a C.
Okay. All right. Wouldn't want to spell his name wrong. And then I happen to know that this font is Comica Sans or Comica Title. There we go. And that sign looks to be maybe 4.5 inches tall or so.
That seems about right.
I'm going to hit the Z key, to zoom in or zoom out. So now we're looking at Lucas, and this is our foundation, but we're going to, are you going to cut out the letters first, or do you want to cut out the walnut piece underneath?
Yeah, let's, well, Audrey, we're not going to actually cut it out today. So we're just going to kind of walk them through the design process of like how they would get the output they need. So we are going to need the letters separately, and then we'll need the rest of the piece that has kind of the cut ends, the kind of mortise side, separate.
Great. So if you're going to be inlaying this into some material, then you'll probably need to give it some amount of radius. So we'll say you'd be going for If you're cutting with an 1/8" bit, then a 16" radius. And then you can also, if you're going to make a pocket for this in your walnut, we'll use the offset feature over here. And I'm pretty sure those letters were sort of like sunken into the walnut.
Yep.
You could maybe show that
Sure.
if you want to remind anyone. And
Yeah.
then, so we'll want to create a little offset for that.
Yeah, maybe
So
like a 16th inch or something.
Yeah.
Just
Kinda make
enough
it easy.
where, it still looks very similar to the shape, but easy to put in, but still requires a little bit of understanding of how it goes in.
great. And so now that we've made that offset that the letters are going to sit into, we can also now make another offset for the entire sign, the cutout, the outside of the sign. And this is my favorite thing to do with the new offset feature and text, especially. You just put in a pretty big number. Let's try 0.75. And then you get an offset path that's a sort of like bubble all around the text that I really love, which is a nice little thing that comes with from this join shapes feature.
Yeah,
So
and so if you want all the offsets for each little object to be separate, you would make sure that join shapes button wasn't clicked. But in this case, we want to take kind of the area of all the offset and make a new shape from it. So make sure that join shape button is clicked.
yeah,
Okay, Audrey, what I kind of missed it, and I don't know if everyone else did. Can you kind of zoom in to one of the letters and show how the offset appeared and how we have two different shapes now? And so you can see each letter has kind of a small secondary path right next to it, and that's that 16th inch offset. So, so now all we have to do is kind of break the smaller letters out of that, and we're going to cut each of the. We would cut each of those out. And then we would just cut the rest as a pocket with a set depth and cut the outside. And so pretty simple project. And yeah, anyone can do it pretty quickly using text tools and the offset feature. And if you want to use that radius feature to kind of make things a little curvier, that's fine. You don't have to do that too. But we are going to talk about why you might want to do that. So moving on to the second project, Jake, take it over to you.
Okay. Something that I'm sure most of us have run into at one point or another when we're trying to add a chamfer to letters and text specifically, or really any time that you have a sharp inside corner, we get these little odd witness marks right at the peak of a really sharp corner. Usually that's because our text itself, the line, comes to a really acute angle. Our 1/4 inch cutter, 1/8 inch cutter can't go all the way into that sharp corner, but our engraving bit can. So
Yeah.
that leaves us a weird witness mark, and I want to show that off very exaggeratedly.
Yeah, maybe even to like explain it just a little more clearly too is like one of the ways to make these letters look really nice is just to add a big chamfer around the top. So instead of having this kind of flat look like this, if we go to the origin screen where it's just like a flat thing, I added a chamfer on the edge of the shape to kind of give it this kind of 3D effect, and it can make these little signs look quite a lot nicer, I think.
Yeah.
But there is some details that come with it, and making that engraving chamfer look correct with the shape is actually a little tricky. If you don't think about it, you'll end up basically having a chamfer that goes into an area it shouldn't. Everybody's used tried to round over a mitered corner and realize, okay, the middle of the miter doesn't match the straight line, and it's because the router bit is kind of offset from that corner more than it is in general. And so we kind of have the same issue with origin, where the bit is traveling in areas it shouldn't, and we're going to be able to use this custom radius feature to make that not a problem. And so Jake has some great examples here, and maybe we just start by showing them and then show you how to fix it.
So the number 3 seems like the perfect example because we have mostly outside corners that we want to keep crisp. However, we come in here, you can see my 1/8 inch cutter or 8mm cutter couldn't quite make it all the way in, but my engraving bit did. And when that looks like, it's a very unfortunate flat spot. So my engraving bit made it all the way in, but it did not cut all the way through.
Yeah, let me get a couple angles so people can see really what that looks like.
So we
Yeah,
have
you can see there. So
option A
yep.
versus a consistent chamfer all the way around just by adding the radius to the inside of that, that number.
Yeah, it really does make a big difference. You can think of it as origins always. If you give a random shape to origin and a bit size, it's going to automatically calculate where can this bit drive. And if that bit size gets smaller, then it may be able to drive into those inside corners a little easier. And in some cases, let's say you were cutting with a 16 millimeter bit, that's going to offset it even more while it's cutting. And then when you go to that chamfer bit, it's going to really get tight and cut all the way in. So you're going to have this look that just, you can even see it when I did this. I actually didn't fix it on some of these, and you can see maybe in the top here another good example where you see how there's a little divot there where the 1/8" bit went in, but the engraving bit went into the top here, and then when you look down on it, you're like, oh, it doesn't really line up correctly. So we're gonna go into Studio now, and Audrey's gonna show us how it fixes.
Yeah, great. All right. So while you were talking, I was getting some of this ready to show.
Oh, nice.
Also, just so you can see what it looks like, also on a screen here. So here's what you guys were demoing, this number 3, where if you cut out the outside of the 3 with any bit that's going to be rounded, you'll miss some of the material on the inside. And then if you follow up with a chamfered online cut to the same path, then that's going to go in much further, basically.
Totally.
So what we want is we want to create a path for the chamfer bit to follow that is the same as the path that the outside cut is going to take when it's taking into account that bit diameter. So what we want to do then is I'll do it on this one actually so that you can see me do it. But we'll take the number 3 and we'll add a radius. At this point, we could add a uniform radius. I think you were cutting with a 4 millimeter or an 8 millimeter bit, so 4 millimeter radius. But maybe you don't want to get this very rounded look all over the number 3. You want to try to keep it as sharp as possible. So that's where the custom radius comes in. We'll go in here. We'll set everything back to 0 just to get it back to everything being sharp. And then I'll click outside to deselect. And what you can do actually with the number 3, I could just select these points, but let's say it's a more complicated shape. We have these nice little selectors. You can select all the inside corners, and then you can set your radius there. So here I'm setting 4 millimeters. When I hit apply, then I've got my path that the chamfer bit can follow. So if I go back to plan mode, I can see now this path. This is the original path with the outside set with a bit that goes outside of it, and then here we have our chamfered path, which is going to follow that perfectly. And of course, you don't have to hold on to the original sharp version of the 3. You can just say like, oh, we'll keep this radius 3 for all the paths because the outside cut is now going to also work here.
Yeah, and a key point for everyone to understand here is when you're trying to get this radius to work, you don't need to radius all your corners. You only need to radius ones that go into a little point. And so, for instance, on this J here that I have, we don't need to radius anything because it's always going to be following the outside, and we're going to get a perfectly clean radius. But when we go to something like this K, the things we need to radius are inside here and inside of there. These 2 points. The rest can stay as they are. Technically that one needs a radius on as well for the chamfer to follow it correctly. But you don't need to make everything soft. You just need to make sure those kind of inside in and outs are soft. So, but yeah, I think it's a great tip. And everyone's done this where you make a little number, you make a sign, and you're like, you know what, it'd be nice to add a little edge profile on it. If you don't have a radius bit in your router that has a small bearing, you can't even get into these spots in the first place.
You
so
need
this
a
is,
really small bearing.
and you can find them. They do make them, but they're specialty. And like you basically have a small bearing in origin. You just need a bit with a cove or a radius on it or a chamfer. You can even, I mean, a lot of times I just use the regular engraving bit to do these chamfers on lighters.
That's what we did here.
And it really does make the thing kind of pop a lot more. Maybe Jake, one more time, show the 3 like in the top camera so people can kind of really see maybe from the top how different they look. So
Yeah, and this is as opposed to doing all this by hand. And I'm sure most people in the chats here would know, like there's some level of sanding which is fun,
Yeah.
and some level of sanding which is not fun,
yeah,
and little tiny sanding around all the different pieces of text.
I mean,
Not fun.
I'm kind of in the all sanding's not fun camp, but I know Jake loves it.
I do love sanding. I don't know why.
He also loves podcast.
Yeah, it's my podcast time.
Okay. So that's how to add chamfers to letters using the custom radius feature.
I want to add one more thing.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
When you're using the 60-degree engraving bit, which is the standard bit that comes with Origin, you're going to set the bit diameter just like you would anytime you're doing an engraving, 0.02. But I would not recommend going, let's go ahead, set to engrave. Don't cut it to a 0-inch offset. We want to give ourselves something like a 0.01 and move that cut path just a little bit away so that we don't get a kind of a witness mark on the edge of our piece.
Yeah, sometimes I'll even do quite a bit more.
Yeah.
Like I'll do 0.05 and then I'll just lower the bit more because as you lower the bit, more of that wedge is hitting this piece. So as we lower the bit, we have our big wedge, and as we lower it, it's actually cutting wider. So you can actually go off quite a bit. It does really stink when you get a witness mark on the edge because more sanding. But yeah, just make sure you offset it or get it off the edge a little bit, and then just lower it down. Generally, I like to even when I did these, I cut everything with the quarter-inch bit, and then I swap bits, put that engraving bit, just a standard 60 degree. Is that what it is? Sorry, numbers. Put the 60-degree bit in, and I just manually cut one of them until I got it to the depth I liked. Then I clipped it in bench palette and said, do the rest. And so don't be afraid to manually cut. It's sometimes the right move. If you spend all that time cutting 4 letters out and then you tell bench pilot to go and you have the wrong depth set, all of a sudden everything's wrong. And so work your way down till you get that right chamfer. And you can always go deeper to make the chamfer bigger.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Nice. All right. Man, we are right on time today. Almost 30 minutes.
I love that.
All right, we're going to the mid-show break. And this time, on time. Okay. Remember, stick around to the end of the show. That's where you can win stuff. That poll question is going to pop up on your screen right now. And the question for this week is, what's the one feature that keeps Studio from becoming your go-to design tool? Now,
Audrey's dying to know.
If your go-to design tool already is Studio, just put in Studio. If your go-to design studio program is not Studio and one of the other SVG creators, tell us what it is and why you prefer it, and then tell us what's coming in Studio to make it that go-to tool.
Yeah, and I think we're asking this question because offset was, I think, the last standing feature for at least one of the folks on our team, where I'd be talking to him and he'd be like, "Oh, I use Studio for like 90% of the stuff I need to do, but just offset. Like I wish I could have offset." So, if anyone else is out there, there's one thing they really want. I think I can guess some of the answers we're going to get. But it will also be really great to see if some folks are saying, you know what, actually, what Studio has so far is hitting the spot. So yeah, let us know.
Nice.
For me, it was Radius.
Yeah.
Yeah, custom radius.
Radius is a big thing because if you're doing inlays, if you're doing things that need to match bits like this, you really need that feature to make it fit your bit. Otherwise, Origin's going to try to do its best idea, but a lot of times it's not correct, and you need that control.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. And the trick is to add features you need, but not so much that it becomes an overwhelming tool. So we're trying.
Yeah, and if you haven't used Studio yet, Studio is a free software. Anyone can use it. If you don't pay, you have a limited amount of exports over to Origin every month. They reset every month. If you pay, you can send as many as you want every month. And if you haven't checked it out, please go give it a try. It's better with every week. And every week that Audrey's on sessions, it gets better.
Yeah. And cool thing worth mentioning, even if you don't pay for it, you get to experience it fully featured. There's not like a light version.
Correct.
You just can only export, send it to the tool 3 times a month.
Yeah. Nice. Okay, that's the question. Next up, very exciting, actually.
Favorite time of year?
We have the winners of the box challenge.
Reminder to everyone, we do these challenges. We've done studio design challenges. We did a joinery challenge. But the OG is the box challenge. And we just had all of this past month.
Yeah.
People to send in their designs.
If you were hoping to join in before it's over, it's too late this year. You're going to have to come back. But let's go to my computer and look at the winners and just take a look. Okay, so here is the website. If you want to check it out for yourself, it's shapertools.com/box challenge with a hyphen in the middle. And we have 3 winners. We have Brian the Pryan is our first place winner.
Mm-hmm.
We have Jan16 and Chris117. No, 177. Yeah. Everybody clap. Everybody clap. All right. So let's if you weren't aware, these were judged on overall design of the project, quality of craftsmanship. Obviously, they needed to have some Origin usage to make them to win. Big $1,000 credit to the Shaper Store.
Whoa.
I'm actually really curious, Brian, what you're going to get. If you're in the chat, let us know. Or maybe you don't know yet.
It's almost a whole bench pilot.
I mean, you just got to go shopping for a while. Peruse the site for a while, see what's going on. All right, let's check it out. We'll kind of open all 3 of these and just give the people their look. All right, so this was the first one. Now, if you're like, wow, Shaper Hub looks so awesome, you can also thank Audrey. Shaper Hub got a facelift recently with new images, carousel for you to look. You can even click the image to get bigger. And use the arrow keys to get through there. What a beautiful, just the design, everything, top notch. And then he even made a video on YouTube. There's a little secret thing to have a key pop out to unlock it. So go look at this one if you have a chance. It is pretty incredible. Second, Jake, you want to take this one maybe?
Yep. So we have some bent lamination. I personally love bent lamination, and this is just so cleanly done, right? And
wow.
I also love the documentation. Really encourages people to
a whole
try
PDF.
their hand at making. Yeah, exactly. It's not a requirement necessarily when you post or when you publish a project, but it goes a long way when people go to make it themselves.
Yep.
So
nice.
we always really appreciate when people take the time to do that.
Although I will say with the new Shaper Hub updates, you can now also add images in your instructions. So hopefully we've gotten one step closer to, if anyone doesn't want to make a separate PDF, but they do want to have some slightly richer instructions, they can if they want
Totally.
put those directly in the projects.
Yep, having images in the notes down here is great, especially if you have like very specific types of things you have to do. So make sure you use that.
Thank you for sending that in. That's second place winner. That's $500 to the Shaper Store.
And then boom, we got our last one from Chris. And look at this thing.
Traveling toolbox.
And do I see a little trace section with a custom
I think so.
foam inlay?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna guess so, probably. one of the cool things we also really didn't talk about too much in Shaper Hub now is anytime you're looking at a project and you're like, man, I love this project, but all I really need is this one toolbox thing. You can go ahead and click down here on these SVGs, and there's a new button down here that says Open in Studio. Boom. If you click that, it will automatically open just that file in Studio as an import in a new document. You can either, say, give me everything separately, give it to me all together. We're going to explode this one. And then boom, we're already working on modifying, changing, whatever. But you no longer have to kind of sync the entire project and then go import that file if you just need like a very specific file.
Yeah.
So
I love this. It had a great display of craftsmanship, wedge tenon throughout, dovetails, foam inlay. It was awesome.
very
The
nice.
really beautiful burly maple. Sorry, a
Yeah.
little hard for me to tell.
It does. I think it is like a quilted maple of some sort. It's darker. I don't know. Let's see. Do we have it down here? Yep. Quilted maple and black walnut for the top drawer fronts. Boom. Nice eye, Audrey, from back there. All right. So that's box challenge. It's over for now, like we said. Congrats to the winners. We got some more challenges coming. I'm not going to give anyone a heads up, but get those engines ready. All right. Last but not least,
shop tour.
Boom. All right, from Mr. Fix It himself.
Oh wait,
is that right?
No, this week is Scott.
Oh, never
Scott,
mind.
Thank you very much for sending it in.
Yeah, maybe stay tuned for next week.
Yeah.
All right, let's play it.
Hi, and welcome to my shop. It's not a bad sized shop, but it could always be bigger. As you see, coming in through the door, I've got my hammer 14-inch bandsaw. That's a really great addition. I have a spindle sander, and there's a nice wooden ship ladder made out of mahogany that gets me up to my upper storage area.
Strike that, flip it, reverse it.
So we have anti-gravity woodworkers these days now.
It's on the space station.
We got a little problem. We'll look into that and figure out. Yeah.
It's a live show.
Live show. See? Didn't plan, but we'll show it again next time.
Give us just a moment. We'll figure that out.
It was just a nice little teaser,
It is a really cool shop, too.
Yeah.
With a beautiful view. Yeah, we got it.
It's like you can see Earth from up there.
Exactly.
Okay, well, that is all the announcements we have.
Did you make a box challenge this year?
Did I make a box? I did make a box, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah, for my friend Cass.
Nice.
I made a Crinovian style box. We actually did some of it in sessions. And then I continued working on it outside of sessions and changed some stuff after sessions. And yeah, I mean, I didn't submit it because I was told I couldn't win. So I guess it's fair enough.
Participating?
Yeah.
Well, Sean was working on it for a while because we put out the box joint template in Studio recently, so he was testing it.
That's true. Or before everyone touched the box joint, the templates, me and Audrey were, having discussions about it,
Nice.
and trying to get it so it works perfect for everybody. And actually, if anyone's in the comments that has actually used the box joint templates, like, how do you like it? It's been, what, a month since we put it out, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
Would love to hear in the comments if you've used it, especially the box joint pro, because
box joint pro is fantastic.
That thing is rad. Oh, I'm hearing from Houston. We have a video ready, so we're going to check it out.
Shop. It's not a bad sized shop, but it could always be bigger. As you see, coming in through the door, I've got my hammer 14-inch bandsaw. That's a really great addition. I have a spindle sander, and there's a nice wooden ship ladder made out of mahogany that gets me up to my upper storage area. As you can see, I have all my jigs and cords and things hanging there. As we move along, I've got a nice little clamp rack, and of course everything's got to be on wheels to move it around. It's a lumber rack. And over here, got a sink, And so I don't drag dust and dirt in the house, I've also got bathroom facilities. As we move along, I've got my kind of a workbench by the sink so that I can do painting and things of that nature. And I've got a dedicated hinge mortising machine set on a nest of drawers with a lot of supplies. My router table, which is a very valuable piece of equipment in the shop. And I do have a selection of some Festool stuff that I'm starting to add to my collection. And all these cabinets came out of my kitchen, and I just repurposed them for things in the shop. I have my miter station with a nice Biesmeyer fence on both sides, a nest of storage cubbies for screws and the like. And as we move along, I've got an area where I kind of keep my shaper system, dedicated workstation for that. Castle pocket hole cutter in the middle for production to make cabinets. As you can see, I've got a project on the workbench next to the drill press that I'm currently working on. It's got its primer, it's sanded, it's all ready to go for its final paint coating. And then I've got my dedicated assembly table, which I also use as a sanding and all-purpose table. Tormac sharpening station, and of course that's the door we entered. And then the highlight of the shop is my hammer combination table saw. This is a wonderful machine, very precision, and it does multiple things. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you soon.
So now I need that table saw.
I need a lot of things in that shop. My favorite, I think that ladder was pretty
That was a
sweet.
beautiful ladder. I want to know if you used Origin to cut out those handholds.
Maybe. You never know.
Pretty cool. Thanks so much for sending that in. Reminder to everyone, if you send in your shop tour, send it to us in landscape, 3 to 4 minutes, narrated.
Upside up.
Upside up is always good. And yeah, it doesn't matter if it's dirty, clean, big, small.
Yeah, we love to see it all. Actually, I've been reflecting a little bit on our shop tours, and I think it was one of my favorite little additions to Shaper Sessions.
It's so cool.
You
to
know,
see other
when we
people's
started seeing all these different shops, and you see some stuff that's the same, you see some stuff that's different, gives you ideas for your own shop.
Mm-hmm.
Recently, we had a bunch of people send in tours that are showing projects they've made with Origin, which is even cool. So yeah, keep sending in, and yeah, we're gonna keep playing them.
Sweet. And if we use it in the show, we'll send you something nice.
Ooh, very nice.
Yeah.
Can I send one in?
Yeah.
I think I did one years ago.
That's true.
Remember that? Years ago.
Your shop's gotten better though.
It's changed a lot. It's kind of a mess right now, but that just means I'm in it. Yeah.
I guess it sounds like a good thing.
All right. We didn't have to rush our mid-show break today, which was very nice.
I know, this feels
And we're gonna get back to it. We have 3 more applications to go over.
Yes. I'm stoked on this one.
Jake, this is
on
one.
all of them, but
This is one we've talked about for years, and now that the offset tool exists, it kind of enables us to do this. I mean, you could do this in other ways before for some things, but this really is kind of a game changer. And Jake, bring us through what we're talking about today.
Okay. So when we're talking about really getting into production joinery.
Shout out last session when we were doing all the productionization techniques.
Exactly. Ideally, we can set something up in BenchPilot or not BenchPilot, but today I'm going to use BenchPilot for this. Hit go, and it's going to take care of everything for me without having to interact with the tool until it's done.
Yeah, because generally you're cutting, the tenon first, and you cut that to a 0 offset, and then you go to cut the mortise, and you kind of cut it to 0 offset first, but then you normally have to open that up because, a 0 fitting offset into another piece normally won't fit, so you kind of have to open it up. And that's fine. That's actually one of the beauties of Origin is you can just be cutting, change it, and move on with your life.
Yeah.
But when it comes to, batching it out, then you got to remember which side gets the 0, which side gets the negative offset. You got to remember the negative offset. If you type it in wrong, you get a ruined part. And so with the offset feature, Jake is going to show how we kind of take these mortise and tenons and make it so you don't have to ever worry about it ever again.
And Audrey, I'm going to call on you to help me out in designing this. I'm making a tenon on this piece. I'm cutting a mortise into this piece. My material is 0.812 thick. And it is 2.4 wide.
All right, so 0.812 and 2.4. And see, this is our secret also to designing without a computer is you just call in your friend.
It works great.
Connected remotely, and voila, all of the designs end up on your tool magically. All right. So we'll start with the tenon or the mortise design.
Yeah, let's start with the tenon. And the idea here is I've already done my tests. I know that my mortise needs like a negative 0.003 of an inch taken off of it. But I want to bake that in. I don't want to have to interact with the screen and tell it, cut the tenon and the mortise, because I'm going to cut them at the same time.
Yep.
Yeah, and so and we're going to make that mortise a little bit smaller than your stock, I'm assuming.
Yes.
So let's make a new rectangle in here for the mortise, and I'll align it with the center. Do you want that to be like?
Let's do a full like
I don't know.
slot shape.
Okay, yeah. Let's go all the way out, and then if you want it to be a slot, then we'll just put a huge radius in here, and it'll actually cap it to whatever's the maximum.
Nice.
Great. And I've just made this a random size, so as long as it doesn't matter that these numbers aren't whole numbers, then I think that's actually fine.
Yep.
We'll do it visually. So we've got our slot, and you're saying you've tested this before, and you need about 0.003 of an offset.
Yes.
All right, so you actually want this mortise to be 0.003 bigger than this design. So what we'll do is we'll take that offset feature and I'll just type in 0.003, and it looks like it doesn't exist anymore, but if I zoom in, there it is. So I'll hit apply, and now we've got that sort of baked in offset. And what we can do is I can turn this inner sort of the tenon shape, because this is the one we're going to respect for the tenon. I'll turn this into a reference path for now, so it won't go over to origin.
Nice. And then Audrey, we'd probably cut the tenon first, and then we'll cut the mortise second, just following the rules of origin. Always cutting the plug, the physical piece that's going in the other one first, and then cut the hole that it's going in afterwards. Generally, you might say, why do you do that? Well, the main point is that if you do it the opposite way, you can't remove the tenon without fitting it. So you have to remove it, fit it. If it doesn't fit, you got to get it right back into where it was and cut it again. If you do it the other way, where you cut the tenon first, then the mortise, you can cut the tenon, remove it, have the mortise, and fit the tenon until the mortise fits properly. So generally, if you're new to origin, always kind of cut the plug first.
Great. All right, I think I did this slightly confusingly, so I apologize for any viewers who are confused, but just going over this again, we've got our stock on the outside, and then we have two very close together slots, and the one that's slightly larger here is going to be the mortise, so that it's got some space to let the tenon in. So actually, I've set the inside one to reference path, so this file now is the mortise, and I can leave that be, and I can make a duplicate design to create the design for the tenon. And when I do that, actually, because I used reference paths, I can just select the path that I set to reference, say make editable, and then I can set the other one to a reference.
Nice. Yeah, so
yeah.
And if you're not familiar with reference paths, they're basically just tell Origin, don't send this part of the file down to Origin when you send everything else, and you can always change those in Studio. So if you're sending down multiple things, sometimes you build something big in Studio, make certain parts reference, import the parts you want, change it in Studio, import the other parts from that same file. Or like Audrey did, you can build 2 separate files.
Yeah.
All right, nice. So let's bring it over, and Jake can show us kind of how he set it up on Origin.
All right, so to start, let's go ahead and show overhead. We have our tenon set up here, our mortise set up here. I went ahead and did a 5-point probe and placed our mortise file that has that baked in offset over here. And for the tenon, we have this set up right here.
Nice.
So I'm going to be cutting this with the 1/8 inch bit or 8mm bit, 8mm roughing bit too.
Ooh, nice, even
So
better.
that mortise and tenon's going to
If
have.
you've never
friction.
cut the roughing bits, especially for stuff like this where you're not going to visibly see it, you can cut way faster, really aggressive. So if you're ever like, man, I really just need this to go faster, and it's not something that's seen, check out that roughing bit. They're quite good. And if you do need that nice finish on something outside, like for instance, we're going to go over this leg template I did. I actually used a roughing bit to do this, and then I would go back with a finishing bit and clean it up, but basically using a roughing bit to clear out waste, and then finishing bit to get the edge quality that I want.
Oh, and actually, I should explain. I threw in an extra path in there for so that you can use BenchPilot if you want to, which is just an extra contour on that tenon. So we've got the tenon, and then sometimes you might make a compound shape with the outside of your stock and turn that into a pocket, but you can also just cut on the outside of both of these, and then that'll be a way to clear out all the material.
Yeah, sometimes that inner tenon won't clear out the full material, and in order to do that, you either have to manually cut it or have a second shape that will kind of clear those corners out.
Yeah, if we, 8mm, because Jake is in millimeter land. And this one, we can set it to guide. So you'll see now we are cutting and clearing pretty much all of that material. Yeah.
Yep. Nice.
Sweet. Let's let it go.
Let it go.
Ready, set?
Blast off. Okay, so you notice he just said, hey, I'm going to tell it exactly what to cut. It's going to be those 2 paths and this other one. Even if you don't have the file perfectly set up, you just need to tell it which shapes you want to cut. And then now BenchPilot will remember, hey, these are the things that need to be cut. Now, BenchPilot's automatically going to clear certain shapes before others. So it's always going to clear online cuts first, followed by pockets, followed by inside cuts, followed by outside cuts. And so you can see here, he was actually on the left side, but BenchPilot went all the way over there to hit that one first because it's an inside cut. So it's going to always kind of cut that first, then it'll go over and cut the tenons afterwards. Now, if you only wanted to cut, the tenon side, you could just remove the selection from the mortise cut. But in this case, it doesn't really matter. You can just say, hey, cut everything. I've already checked the fit. And the whole point here is we don't have to change the offset when we go between these 2 different pieces because the offset is essentially baked into the shape. So here's that first path it's hitting, and then, as soon as that's complete, it's going to go to that inner shape. Now, BenchPilot does an interesting thing, and it's not always going to be exactly what you want, but it's going to try to get you where it needs to go without you having to think about which path do I cut before this path, before that path? And essentially, it's going to go to the closest shape and then cut the next one. So in this case, it's always going to cut that outside shape, and then it'll cut the inside afterwards. But if you had the shape where it was reversed, you might need to, change the selection or, decide how you're going to clear that out. If we had done the trick where you make a bigger pocket, and it would cut the pocket first, it would clear that out, and then it would cut the outside shape afterwards. So many ways to set these up. If you're really curious, we have tons of sessions on mortise and tenons, productionizing for mortise and tenons, how to do it with bench pilot, how to do it by hand. So many different types of videos. So if you haven't checked out the whole catalog or you're new to sessions, definitely take a look at our back catalog. I think we're at the 160 some shows. So if you have a question, we've probably talked about it. All right, Jake, how we looking?
That's a snug one. I think that would come together beautifully with a mallet. But I'm going to fight the urge to grab the mallet.
Jake, we were saying there's no offsets in play here. It's got to fit.
Then
I was when Jake said 3,000, I was thinking to myself, that's pretty tight.
I do that to myself all the time. I'm like,
well, you can never put material back.
Exactly.
I guess,
unless you're a welder.
But I was thinking 5,000. Come on, Jake, it's hammer time.
5,000. 5,000 it is.
Now, this is great. Okay, so even though we've already changed that shape, Jake can just manually go in here and change the offsets, So he's going to go to 5,000 probably, if I had to guess.
That's got 3,000 baked into it.
Oh, yeah. So it's already got, think of it this way. You had a shape. We already baked in 3,000. So if you wanted 5,000, you would need to do 2,000 on the global offset to get there.
I'll go a little bit up.
All right. Let's go and see what happens.
Ooh, that wants to come together. Okay, now it's mallet time.
Okay, nice. So how we would do this if we were prototyping in the real world, what we would have probably done is we would have cut the first one by hand or with zero change in the two files. Then we would have done the offset here, if it was 5,000, whatever. Then we go back to studio, make the mortise, bake that offset we did in, re-import that file. Now we can remove the offset on origin and cut them both, and we'll have the same kind of number system. Where now we can cut everything with a zero offset over and over. We don't have to think about it, and everything will be coming together.
Yep, there's it.
We always keep the hammer right near Jake's head because you never know when you're going to need it.
It's also has that toothed pattern from the roughing bit, which is
changes the fitment a little bit.
Yeah, this is the one downside maybe to having your friend do things remotely is that
Well, I think when
might have also set things up differently.
when Jake said it was 3,000, I think he meant it was 5,000.
That's definitely what I meant.
Live show, This is the beauty of the live shows, Sometimes things go differently. Anyways,
but this is the level of fit that we're looking for.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's the one you did.
That would have
fit.
been nice, yeah.
Jake, why can't you just do that?
I think that's because Jake actually put that one together himself and he knew what he was doing. And then once you brought me into it, I feel like I messed that up at some point.
I don't think so.
Probably.
I don't think so. All right. Okay, so that's baking and offsets for mortise and tenon. Jake had another one that he did that was pretty excited about. Why don't you explain this one?
So we've seen this a couple times, especially once Bench Pilot came out. People are starting to make like dished bowls. And what is that but a bunch of offsets all kind of stacked on top of each other, all with different assigned depths. So I went ahead and just made this really quickly in studio. Just a nice stepped dish that's now ready to get a nice gouge out and smooth that out.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to probably route that out with a router anyways because, it just takes a lot of mental strain and physical strain to clear that out. And then we'll get a hand-finished texture at the end. Be a nice little project. And Jake built this entirely in studio because, I'm sure there's 3D programs out there that can do this, but not everybody knows those. So Audrey's going to show us real quick how to create this, and then, you'll be able to create your own little bowls.
Great. All right, this time I'll do it right, I think. So let me share my screen. Here we go. So I've made a new design and I've placed an ellipse in here. You could start with a different shape, like, a rectangle, or I mean, you could even search for blob. And I feel like you could make a pretty fun bowl. Like, look at this guy. That'd be
Oh, I
pretty
like
fun.
this even better.
Yeah, this is great.
I mean, Jake, I love your idea too, Jake.
No. I'm all
Yeah.
about non-uniformity.
So let's pretend we're making the second iteration of Jake's bowl. Then we would take this blob, and I want to make sure it's the size that I want at first, because I don't want to have to scale everything afterwards. So I'll just say this is going to be like a uh, 8-inch bowl around. And then we'll start doing offsets. And this time I'm going to go offset inwards. So I'll click on this swap button here, and that's going to set the offset to negative, which basically means go inside. And based on the size bit that you think you're going to use to cut this out, we'll want to have some step overs that have a little bit of overlap. So let's say that Jake, being the millimeter man that he is going to use like an 8mm bit or a 6mm bit.
8mm bit, 4mm step over. I think I did 2mm. Each step was 2mm deeper. I don't know why I
Cool.
was in a metric
So,
mood today.
well, so that means we'll want a new path every 4mm. And we'll set that inside. There we go. So we'll do that again, 4mm inside. And we can just keep doing that until we think we've got enough steps that it's going to start to look 3D enough. And then in plan mode, we can set all of those to inside cuts, and we can set them to 8mm. And that's when we'll start to see that there's this overlap on each of these. And now we just want to set some depths. So our inside cut is going to be, if you oh, well, let's start from the outside in. Maybe we don't care what the overall depth is. You're just going to go 2mm every time.
Yep.
So we'll take this. We'll set this one to 2mm. Yeah, I'm just going to switch to millimeters now. Here we go. Up in the mode menu up here, just there's that toggle if you want it. And now I can just use this step over to set that to 2mm. This one will be 4. The next one will be, this is the most amazing television we've got going on. And then 8. And I should do one final thing, because if I go over to review mode, I'll notice it looks really cool, but it doesn't seem to cut out the entire inside. And that's because actually this innermost path should be a pocket. And now if we go to review mode, there's our blobby bowl.
Yeah, and then we need one outside path, wouldn't we?
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So actually, we could, I think I'll want to offset this again so that you have one step at the very top, so it doesn't come to a really sharp lip. So I'll offset this out this time by the same amount. And then I'll set that one to be outside. And whatever, let's see, we were going 8mm deep. Let's say this is a 16mm bowl, and still with your 8mm bit. Ta-da!
Nice. It looks
Perfect.
lovely. So, if you're in the mood for some simple bowl contouring, this is a great little addition. I even was talking to a friend the other day who did a carving class. And, when you're doing carvings and relief carvings, you kind of have to spend a bunch of time just removing material before you even get to the fun stuff.
Just roughing it out.
And so I think of this as kind of a similar way. You're just clearing out the material so you can come in and really clean it up and give it a nice hand feel.
Yeah. I want to see somebody use this technique on a chair seat.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
Not that there's anything wrong with
If you do send the picture to sessions at shapertools.com, and you'll make Jake's day one day.
Yeah.
All right. Nice. All right. So we're on to our final application. And you may have seen it earlier, but I wanted to share this leg template I was building. Essentially, it's a very simple leg template. Just has a big curve here, a couple smaller curves here, and a couple hard angles here. And I designed it in Studio. So I thought Audrey would go over and show people how to use the custom radius feature to kind of define and really pick the design we want.
Okay, awesome. One more project. So here we go. We're back in this design, and I think it kind of looks to me like you made that shape with draw tool
I
originally,
did.
although you could probably shapeshift it together from other shapes. But let's do that just so it's the same. And it's a stool, so I don't know, maybe it's about 20 inches tall.
That's
I
a good.
haven't made a stool in a while.
Yeah, that's fine.
And then just to give broad strokes, I'm going to go a little bit quickly here, but it looks a little bit like this, I think.
Yeah, that looks
Um,
great.
Great. And then you'll notice here in the parameter panel that the radius feature is disabled, and that's just because radius doesn't work with draw shapes right now. It's just a little bit hard to keep radius editable with a draw shape when the draw shape itself is also editable. So for now, if you want to radius something that you made with draw tool, you'll want to run it through Shapeshifter to basically remove any editability. And now it's a baked shape. I can't move the segment anymore.
Yep.
So we've
It-
got our shape ready for radius.
And Audrey,
Yeah, go ahead.
one question for people. If for instance I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, I could also create that shapeshift, but keep the original draw tool by clicking the
For sure.
button while doing that.
Yeah, let's undo that. So now we're back to our draw shape. If we go to Shapeshifter and we select the shape, if I click Keep Existing Shapes, when I hit Finish now, I've got two shapes, one on top of each other. There's the generated sort of baked shape, and then there's the one that's still a draw tool. So you can definitely make these kinds of duplicates either inside of Shapeshifter by using Keep Existing, or by literally also duplicating the shape. And
Nice.
that's a nice way to keep a copy
Cool.
while you're still not sure what you want. And then we'll add some radiuses to this. And again, just to show you, if you click on radius and you add something straight away, it's going to be a uniform radius. So it's just going to apply to all the corners. And that's not quite what we want. You had a really nice sort of larger slope in the inside corner here. And then also when it's meeting up with the stool seat, I think it was sharp up here. So
Correct. Yep.
we can go into that custom radius tool by clicking on this little tune button over here. And I'm just going to actually go ahead and set everything to 0 again, so that we're starting with a blank slate. And I can click on this one in the middle, which I think is sort of the more aesthetic corner that we want to sort of play around with. And we can type in some bigger numbers and sort of see how much we think this needs to be radius for it to look the way we want it to look. So I think that 3-inch radius there looks pretty good.
Nice.
And then down here for the bottom corners, we can click to select both of these. And these were also radius, I think, because they're interacting with the floor. So you want them to be just a little bit rounded. So I'm going to add a 1/2-inch radius to those. And if I hit apply, now I've got my very nice leg ready to go.
Yeah. Cut out some MDF templates. If you're like me, cut it out straight with a roughing bit and then finish it with a finishing bit. And you have a nice, real fast template generator with the new radius features. So that's it for today.
Nice.
A bunch of ways to use the two new studio tools in your daily use. And if you have questions, well, guess what? This is the perfect time because we're going to Q&A.
Let's do it.
See everybody later.